Hey everyone, welcome to
Bedtime with Victor.
episode
6.
That's right, episode 6. You don't what?
I don't want to say.
Oh,
No.
well, you just did. Okay, so today's Father's Day, by the way. And what question do you have, Victor?
How else did I get adopted?
How else did you get adopted? Well, let me just share a little bit more of the story, okay?
Yeah.
So when you were born at 25 weeks gestation. What that means is that you were in Mommy Tiffany's belly for 25 weeks. It should have been 40 weeks. But there were some problems, and she gave birth to you very early. And it was very sad. And the doctors were not sure if you were going to live because you had lots of medical problems. And you know what a lot of the medical problems are? It's your breathing. Because when you are born really, really early, your lungs are not fully developed.
And my heart stopped.
Well, there was a time when you stopped breathing. Yeah. There were actually a few times. So, what happened is that they kept you in a little incubator, a little box called an incubator, and they regulated it was really warm and moist in there, and you couldn't even touch people because if you touched them, you would hurt. It would be painful because your skin was so thin. So when the first day that your mommy and I laid eyes on you, you were so tiny. And Mommy and I took a look at you and we thought, oh no, what are we doing? This is crazy. But you know what? God called us to adopt you and for me to be your dad. So we made the choices and they were very scary sometimes. So we came to visit you. Then we came home for a few days. And then Mommy went out to stay with you for a long time. I didn't see Mommy for about 5 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks at a time. And I was back here with Andrew, Jesse, Mariana, Sean, and Isaac, and Eden, and Hope at that time. There were 7 children.
What were they doing?
Well, we were doing stuff that we normally do, but we were waiting to hear how you were doing in the NICU. So you grew, but it took a long time. And so they gave you milk. There were some people that donated some breast milk, and so you could have something to eat. And there were all sorts of things that were happening, but the doctors were looking at you very closely. What often happens with little children, with little, they call them micro preemies. So they're like teeny tiny, and you were one of them. What often happens with those children is that they have brain bleeds. They have the blood vessels in their brain that burst, and there's bleeding on the brain, and that's what causes a condition called cerebral palsy. And when people have that, sometimes they aren't able to walk very well. But you can walk, right?
Yeah.
You can do more than walk. What are some other things that you can do?
I can do all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, you showed that this last week. You were running and jumping and playing. You have all sorts of things that you can do. A lot of people also ask, well, is your blindness because of your prematurity? And the answer is no. The doctors told us that it just happens to some children. So, stay with me. It just happens to some children. So we are so grateful to God that He spared you, that you are alive now. And you could have died, but you have a purpose in this earth, young man. What do you think your purpose is?
Being blind.
And you know what? I love that because the other day you were talking about how it's good that God made you blind, right?
Yeah.
And what do you think God might use that for? What do you think that God might, that's part of your story, right?
Yeah.
You have a very special story, and God made you just perfect the way you are. Are you sleepy?
Yeah.
It's time for bed. Hey, thanks everybody for listening in for more of Victor's story. Say goodnight, Victor.
See you guys.